gentlemen, once again, I'm always happy to see all 14 seats filled. I trust you had a good lunch. Apologize for the delay. We were trying to just confirm some things, and we have done that, and we are prepared to proceed. So, Mr. Hepner, you may continue with your cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Detective Golke, you seized a work computer from Colleen's work, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it was your understanding that that was the computer assigned to her at her job?
Correct.
And she had a desk job, right?
Yes, understood.
So you figured that she spent a lot of time on that work computer?
Correct.
Okay. And that that computer might have some pertinent information?
Possibly.
Okay. So the pertinent information that you were looking for is anything related to this incident, right?
Yeah, I didn't know at the time, just general, anything that might hold for us.
Okay. Well, specifically, you were looking for things that might suggest that there was some...
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Specifically, you might have been looking for things that might suggest that there was planning to this shooting, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay, there's too many mites in there. Let's ask a question that he can actually answer.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sustained.
When you sent this computer, or when you took this computer, you thought that it might have relevant information to this investigation, correct?
Correct.
In that relevant information, you were looking for search terms.
Objection, Your Honor.
You know what? Approach for a moment. The objection is overruled. subject to the rephrasing.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just give me 1 second, if you would. Detective Golke, you're aware that there was a forensic examination done on Ms. McKernan's work computer, correct?
Correct.
And you requested that that forensic examination be done.
I requested an exam, yes, I took the computer up there.
So you're aware that that computer was searched by experts at BCI?
Yes.
Okay. And you're aware that they searched for specific key terms, correct?
Yes.
Okay. May I approach the witness, Your Honor? Now I'm handing you that report, okay? I'm just going to ask you a few questions about it, sir.
For purposes of the record, I think that it has an Exhibit M sticker
Good.
on it. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you.
M as in marriage.
Now, Colleen's work computer was searched for the following terms: abuse, correct? You see in the second paragraph on the last page?
Sorry, go ahead. I was reading through it. Just make sure. Yes, go ahead.
Her work computer was searched for the term abuse,
Yes.
battered,
Yes.
beat,
Yes.
bruise,
Yes.
crime,
Yes.
defense,
Yes.
domestic,
Yes.
kill,
Yes.
murder,
Yes.
ORC,
Yes.
protect,
Yes.
and women's. Correct?
Yeah. Correct.
And then that report also indicates that none of those search terms were performed on Colleen's computer. Is that correct?
None of them were performed.
None of them were found on that computer.
Right. It says none of them returned results.
Thank you. I want to talk to you, Detective, about some of the things you learned after December 31st, 2014. Okay?
Okay.
You heard from a lot of people during your investigation that there might have been cocaine use at Brittany and Zach Fraley's house, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained as to the form of the question, there is a way to fix that.
You interviewed several witnesses in this case, right?
Yes.
Okay. And part of your job is to listen to what witnesses tell you and then possibly make a decision in your investigation based on what you hear.
Yes.
So you respond to what these witnesses tell you, correct?
Yes.
You investigate that.
Correct.
Okay. So during your interviews, and I don't want, obviously I'm not going to reference anyone specific, but you had learned from several people that there might have been cocaine use at Brittany Martin and Zach Fraley's house.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained as to the form of that question.
At any point in time, were you made aware that there might have been cocaine use at that house?
Which house?
Brittany Martin and Zach Fraley's.
Yes.
Okay. In fact, several witnesses indicated that to you, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Did you ever go to Brittany Martin and Zach Fraley's house?
No.
Okay. You did go to Tucker's, though, correct? The bar?
I did not go to Tucker's.
Okay. But you followed up with a lead that they were there earlier that night, right?
Received a video, yes.
Okay. Now, you watched that video, right?
Yes.
Okay. And, okay. Yes. don't know if I asked you this yet, but you watched the video at Tucker's Tavern, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Could we go to 2213 in the video? Okay. Sir, can you see that okay?
Yeah, it's a little blurry.
Okay. But does that appear consistent with the video that you saw, the basic layout?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and from the video you watched, that you understand that that's Tucker's Tavern?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And that is the bar that several of the individuals went to that night, right?
Yes.
Including Rob?
Yes.
Okay. Mitch?
Yes.
Rocky?
Yes.
And Colleen, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now on that video right there, can you identify who the gentleman is in the white sweatshirt? It looks like a hooded sweatshirt.
Right here.
Yes, right there, sir.
Robert McKernan.
That's Robert McKernan?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know who is immediately to his, what would be his left in the jacket, the darker jacket?
Can't recall if that was Mitch or Rocky.
Okay, but it was, you agree with me that's either Mitch or Rocky?
I believe it was, yes.
Okay. Someone that he was with the bar that night? Okay. Is that a yes?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Now I want to go ahead and play the video, and if you pay close attention, officer, I'd appreciate it. Go ahead and play, please. We pause right there. Thank you. Did you see Mr. McKernan with anything in his hands there?
There was something in his hands, but I couldn't make out what it was, yes.
Okay. You don't have any idea what it was?
I have no idea what it was, no.
Okay, but it appeared that he pulled it out of his pocket?
Yeah, he pulled something out, yes.
Okay. Could we go ahead and play again? Thank you. Could we pause right there? Now, sir, you observed this, correct? You've observed this portion of the video, right?
I have, yes.
Okay. And in this portion of the video, it seems as though Robert McKernan is handing something to either Rocky or Mitch. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. But you don't know what it is?
No.
Okay. We go ahead and play again? Oh, thank you. We can pause there. And we're just queuing up another section here, Detective. We'll be ready in a minute. Yeah, we can go ahead and play, and then just, if you would, watch, sir. If we pause right there. Now, did you see the gentleman in the dark jacket walk away from the camera?
Yes.
Okay. And do you understand that's either Rocky or Mitch, right?
Correct.
Okay. And do you see Mr. McKernan in the photo or in the video here still?
Yes.
Okay. Where's he at?
He'll be right here.
Okay. Can we go ahead and play the video? Okay, we can pause right there. Thank you. Sir, did you see Rob McKernan walk back to that area where you saw either Rocky or Mitch walk?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what's back in that area of Tucker's Tavern?
There's a pool area and the restrooms are back there.
Okay. And at some point in your investigation, you learned that Rocky and Rob had been back in the bathroom. Is that correct? Of Tucker's Tavern?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you ever go to Tucker's Tavern and look at the bathroom?
I did not know.
Okay. So you don't know if it's a one-person stall or a two-person stall?
No, I don't recall.
Okay. How big is this bar? Is it a small bar?
It's a small bar.
Okay. The point being, you don't know what that exchange was between those two individuals, do you?
Correct, I do not know.
Okay. And you don't know what took place back behind where the bathroom is, do you?
No.
Okay. We can turn the video off. Thank you. I want to switch gears here a little bit, Detective. Would you say it's normal for you, and I'm talking generally about a general investigation that you would conduct, is it normal for you in a case involving domestic violence to inquire about alcohol or drug use at the time of the incident?
Yeah, I mean, it's a general question we just kind of ask.
Okay. And that's because you've been an officer for, what, 11 years, you said?
Correct.
Okay. And in your 11 years, you see patterns, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled at this point. Go ahead.
Patterns as to,
Patterns in investigations, right?
I'm not understanding what you're asking.
Well, for example, I'll just ask the question then.
I would prefer that you do ask a question. Go ahead.
In your experience, drug or alcohol use can go hand in hand with domestic violence, correct?
Impairment of any sort can,
Okay.
yes.
And that's why you ask those questions, right?
Correct.
Now, Mr. McKernan was legally intoxicated, right?
Correct.
Okay. His BAC was a .12. We know that for certain, right?
I believe, I'm not sure the numbers exactly, but it was around there on the coroner's report, correct?
Okay. As we also indicated, there was, because you mentioned any sort of impairment, there was also a straw next to Mr. McKernan's body, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Well, let's talk about the witnesses that you interviewed in this case. If I told you you interviewed 15 witnesses, does that sound about right?
Probably about that.
Okay. Now, if it's general policy to I know if I was in trouble growing up,
Sustained.
generally you want to interview people by themselves, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that way multiple people can't sort of corroborate one another and change their story.
Yes.
It's just more reliable that way.
Say that, yes.
Okay. Now, you interviewed Abby Robinson and Mike Sakotis together at the Massillon Police Department, right?
I don't believe it was at the police department, I believe it was at the house.
Okay. Well, regardless of where it was, you interviewed them at the same time.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Now, you also interviewed Brittany Martin and Zach Fraley at the exact same time.
I don't believe the first time I spoke to them they were together. I thought they came back in to give me written statements.
Right, and when they did that, you continued to interview them, correct?
Continue to talk to them, yes.
And when you continued to talk to them, this is prior to you receiving either of their written statements, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Because you just said you believe they came back to actually write written statements. Fair to say?
Correct.
Okay. So, when you were talking to them together, before they had written their written statements, you were interviewing them together.
I'd have to see it for sure, but that sounds about correct.
Okay. Now, you also interviewed Mike Forenbach and Kathy McKernan together, right?
Yes.
Okay. You also interviewed Kelly Bonifant and Alex Vinovich together.
At some point, yes.
Now I want to talk about the types of witnesses you interviewed. The people at the house were mostly, and when I say the house, the people at Brittany Martin and Zach Fraley's house were mostly long-term friends with Rob McKernan, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you didn't interview Colleen's mother, did you?
No.
Okay, and you weren't aware of where she lived?
No.
You didn't know if she lived in the area?
I'm not aware, no.
Okay. You didn't interview Colleen's grandmother, did you, who lives in Massillon?
I did not.
And just so everyone's clear, every witness you interviewed in this case, you interviewed after Colleen was charged with murder.
Yes.
And again, she was charged with murder before you, the lead detective, even stepped foot on the crime scene. Correct?
The charges weren't signed prior to me being there.
They were, is that what you said?
They were not.
But she was arrested at that point, right?
She was under arrest at the time, yes.
Okay, so before you even stepped foot on the scene, she was arrested for murder, correct?
Yes.
Have one moment, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Very briefly, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Detective, I believe there had been a question with regards to a 2310 that was written on top of the log sheet. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I believe there may have been some, you were not positive as to what time that may have been referencing.
Correct.
Now, you were aware a 911 call came in,
Yes.
and if I have shown you a piece of paper that would refresh your recollection of the specific time that call came in, would that help refresh your memory?
For the time of the call, yes. And we had something that showed the time.
Sir, I'm going to mark this simply for purposes of identification as State Exhibit 29. Sir, if you could just briefly look at this document and tell me whether or not that refreshes your recollection as to the exact time the 911 call was processed through the Red Center that we had heard earlier.
Yes, this is the document that the Red Center generates when they get a call in, and it shows 2310 emergency medical call for this address.
Okay, and 2310 in lay people time?
Is 11:10 p.m.
Okay. And sir, you were asked some questions about taking the defendant's blood alcohol content. Do you recall those?
Yes.
Were you intending on charging the defendant with any alcohol-related offenses that evening?
No.
Were you investigating any alcohol-related offenses that evening?
No.
You listened to the 911 again today, correct?
Correct.
As well as initially. Do you also recall in that 911 call that the defendant indicated he hit me or that he hit her?
Yes.
Did you observe in your interactions with her any evidence or physical indications of her having been hit that night?
No.
Just want to clarify an issue with Officer Antonides' duties in reference to you. You were the lead detective.
Yes.
What was Officer Dadisman's position?
He was kind of assisting me with the investigation there at the house.
And Officer Antonides, was his position the same as Officer Dadisman?
No.
All right, what was his position?
He was on routine patrol that night, so he was just a responding officer to the scene.
All right, was he assisting you in any detective or investigatory capacity?
I believe he found the bullets in the garage that night. He helped
Okay.
look for that.
So that portion of the event he assisted you?
Yes.
Anything else?
Not that I can recall, no.
At the time you arrived, I believe you made it clear that and acknowledged that you were not the first person at the scene.
Correct.
At any time during your investigation, did anybody who was at the scene prior to you provide you any information that they were aware of any disturbances to the evidence from the time that they arrived to the time that you would have arrived?
No.
You were asked about some search terms that were completed on a work computer, correct?
Yes.
Did you come up with those search terms?
No.
Do you know who did?
I believe it's just whoever works at BCI, they take a copy of a report, and I believe they have their, whatever they search for, I'm not sure.
They do their thing,
They do their
right?
thing, yes.
Okay. You were also asked the question whether alcohol and drug use can go hand in hand with domestic violence. Is that correct?
Yes.
Drug and alcohol use go hand in hand with other crimes?
Yes.
Okay. Just violent crimes?
No. It's all kinds of crimes. I mean, thefts, burglaries,
All right.
shoplifting, anything.
Okay. You were asked whether or not you spoke to any of Colleen's friends. Do you recall speaking to any of Colleen's friends?
Some that said they had been friends with her, and some that said they'd been friends with Rob, so I talked to some from what I believed from each side.
Okay. And do you know whether or not any of the individuals who designated themselves as Colleen's friends were actually at the party on this particular evening on 11th Street?
Believe it or not, Kelly was the one who actually got Rob and Colleen together, kind of had them meet, so she was more friends with Colleen before Rob.
And when you say Kelly, you're talking about Kelly Bonifant, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Was Kelly at the party?
I don't believe so.
Okay. And you were also asked whether or not you had spoken to Colleen's grandmother or mother. Is that correct?
Correct.
Do you have any information that they had been with Rob and Colleen at any time that night?
No.
Right. Thank you. I have no further follow-up questions, Your Honor.
Any recross?
Detective Golke, you mentioned that you listened to the 911 call that night, right?
Yes.
Okay, but you also listened to another 911 call, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Your Honor, may we approach? No problem.
Okay. All right, you can continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. You were asked about the 911 call again that night, correct?
That's the 911 call that night?
Yes, 911 call that night.
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned that you didn't see any evidence of Ms. McKernan being hit, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But again, that 911 call mentioned her husband coming at her, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled at this point. This is the last time.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the fact is, you weren't in that house that night, correct? At the time of the incident?
No.
Okay. So you can't tell this jury what happened in the house at that time, can you?
I can only tell you what I saw when I was there.
Okay. And you didn't see, well, I guess we'll leave it at that, Detective. Thank you.
All right. Detective, you may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right. State, do you have further witnesses? Okay. All right, and we will deal with the exhibits at a later point because we are only 45 minutes into our afternoon session. So the state of Ohio has rested, ladies and gentlemen. Defense, do you have evidence that you wish to present?
Your Honor, may we approach?
You may.
Your Honor, this one, I will call Mr. Keith King to the stand, and I'm going to go get him.
Okay. Yes, you may.
I do.
Mr. King, would you please state your full name for the record?
My name is Keith Allen King, K-I-N-G.
And Mr. King, what is your occupation?
I'm a licensed private investigator here in the state of Ohio.
And at some point in time, were you hired by the McKernan family? I'm sorry, at some point in time, were you hired by Mrs. McKernan?
I was.
Okay, through counsel, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and what were you hired to do?
To conduct scene video photographs at the residence.
Okay, at the residence known as 1753 Oak Trail?
Correct, in Massillon, Ohio.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Mr. King, I'm going to ask you to kind of briefly look through those, if you would. And just for purposes of the record, Mr. King is looking through what has been marked as Defendant's Exhibit Triple P1 through Triple P60.
the photographs.
Thank you, Mr. King. And all of those photographs, again, triple P1 through triple P60, were they taken by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know when you took those photographs?
Yes, on March 3rd, 2015, around noon.
Okay, on March 3rd, 2015, around noon, was it your understanding that the inside of 1753 Oak Trail was substantially furnished and decorated the same as it was on December 31st, 2014?
It was decorated, yes.
Do you understand that nothing had substantially changed between December 31st, 2014 and March 3rd, 2015?
I know that it accurately reflected from the time frame. That I do know for sure. Pictures or something else could have been a different story, but the furnishings were, and everything else was the same.
Thank you, Mr. King. And would you specifically look at triple P3B for me, which is the fourth picture in?
I'm sorry, triple P3.
3B, sorry, we had two threes. This is triple P.
Okay.
3B. I apologize, Your
I
Honor.
had lost something there. All right, thank you.
Yes, I have it here.
Can I have the elbow on, Jeff, please?
You just
I
have to
turn
push
it
the
on.
button down on the bottom. There you go. Just give it a second. It should boot up. You might want to make sure it's on, Jeff. Oh,
There we go. I did it. Thank you. Mr. King, did you take this, which looks like the bottom of video? Is this a photograph from a video that was taken on March 3rd, 2015?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And what does this depict?
This reflects the rear of the McKernan residence.
Okay. And do you know where the master bedroom is located in the back of that photograph?
I do. It's to the left, up in the
You
upper.
can point on the screen too, which is helpful. If you could circle what you understand to be the master bedroom window, that would be helpful. Thank you, Mr. King. And then would you please take a look just briefly, triple P9 and triple P11. And what does this depict?
Triple P number 9 reflects the hallway, standing at the top of the stairway, looking towards the master bedroom.
okay,
Okay.
hold on. Counsel, do you have two copies of the same thing? Like he's holding one and you're putting one on the screen?
No, what he's holding is on the screen.
I know, so it's a second copy.
Yes,
of that.
it is.
Okay, that's where you lost me. I was like, I thought he had the pictures, now you have.
Just for purposes
They have
of
the
moving.
same stickers on them?
Yes, they
Okay.
do.
All right.
And just for the record, again, that's triple P9. And I'm sorry, what does that picture depict, Mr. King?
This is a picture I took at the top of the stairway, coming up, looking to my right down the hallway, and to the left, to the far left at the end is the McKernan master bedroom.
Okay, and obviously I don't want to go through all these pictures, but there's other pictures of the hallway as well, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, were there any photographs in that hallway that you saw?
There's other photographs that I took, yes.
But not in this particular hallway, which we see depicted here.
That's correct.
Okay. And after taking all of these photographs, did you create a diagram?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. Would you please take a look at triple P60? And did you create this diagram?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and there are measurements that are indicated in the middle of that diagram. Did you actually take those particular measurements?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, and just so that we can follow through, can you show me, can you demonstrate for me from A to E. If you would circle both of those on the diagram, please.
There's A, and there's E.
And why did you take that particular measurement?
Well, they're fixed points. The interior corner of the kitchen jamb and the center of the bedroom, which is the, and I wanted to get that distance, so I used those points from a baseline.
Okay. And I noticed that this is not done entirely to scale, but do you have any indication where those stairs are located in your diagram?
The stairs are located just to the right of the kitty corner of B. You can see where it says stairs coming up to the first level.
Okay. And then did you actually take a measurement of the width of the hallway?
I did.
Okay. And could you just indicate for us what those measurements and those letters are?
The width of the hallway is 3 feet.
Okay. And that is denoted by A to B, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was that width consistent the whole hallway, the length of the entire hallway?
Yes.
Thank you. If you would please turn, Mr. King, to triple P 21 to 31. Are these pictures of the master bedroom?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Did you see any pictures on the walls in the master bedroom?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do pictures triple P 21 to 31 accurately depict then the master bedroom?
21 through 31?
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Thank you, Mr. King. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
You went there on March 3rd,
I was at the house on March 3rd.
2015,
Yes, sir.
and you went in the house.
Yes, sir, I did.
Who was there with you?
Defense counsel and Ms. McKernan.
The defendant?
Yes, sir.
So the defendant had access to that house?
My understanding is the house is for sale.
Okay. She had access to it.
I believe so.
Did you park in the driveway?
No.
No, because there was a car in the driveway?
I believe one of the attorneys had parked there. I parked in a visitor's.
So, you know this crime occurred on January or December 31st of 2014.
Yes, sir.
You went there March 3rd of 2015.
Yes.
From the time the crime occurred to the time you went there, the McKernans had access to this home.
Yes.
Did you see any straws on the ground when you were there?
I'm sorry?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. You can step down, Mr. King. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Your Honor, at this point in time, we will call Mr. Roeder to the stand, and he's just outside. I'll
Okay.
go get him.
Record this way, please. Anybody here, sir, raise your hand. You solemnly swear to testify the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Yeah, if I can have one moment, I just need to make sure that the animation is ready to run.
Okay.
I do, but I won't be able to put it on here.
May we approach that?
Folks, we're just having some technical, issues that we're fixing, so if you want to stand and stretch, you're welcome to do that. I will still be giving you a break this afternoon in a little while, but I don't want to give it to you right now, because then we're going to have to do a long second session, so make yourself, and that applies to everybody in the gallery, too, if you want to stand and stretch.
Joe. please state your full name for the record?
Scott George Roeder.
Oh. Thank you.
I was wondering.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for checking.
Yes, thank you. And now that I'm at the podium, we'll start fresh.
Okay.
Mr. Roeder, please state your full name for the record.
Scott George Roeder.
Okay. And can you give me just a brief description of your educational background?
Sure. I've taken well over 200 and I don't know what the last count is now, 240 accredited hours of training in the field of forensic science, number of training courses in blood spatter analysis, shooting scene reconstruction, forensic pathology for investigation, wound identification, and a number of other training classes that have helped further the discipline of forensic animation.
Wonderful. Okay. And so that education has helped further your field, which is forensic animation.
Correct.
All right. Do you own your own company?
Yes, I do.
And what's the name of that company?
Evidence Room.
And can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I created the Evidence Room approximately 17 years ago to fulfill a need, I believe, in the legal and law enforcement community for a more accurate version of demonstrative evidence. We apply disciplines and methodologies in science and forensic science to ensure a more accurate version of the events.
Okay. And can we just take the last couple of years and can you just give a real brief description to the jury the types of forensic animations that you've been employed to do?
Oh, sure. We've worked on well over 150 shooting involved reconstruction cases, as well as motor vehicle accidents, aviation incidents, home explosions, surgical reconstructions, burn injuries, just to name a few. We've worked for, we don't have a particular side we work for. We're very independent. We work for the plaintiff or the defense, the prosecution or the defense, and we get hired on a case-by-case basis to put together a review of the information and a reconstruction of the events.
Where are your offices located?
I have an office in Cleveland, Ohio, and then I have another office in Burbank, California.
Other than Ohio and I assume California, are there other states in which you're employed to do these types of forensic animation?
Sure, I've probably worked in maybe almost all 50 states, with the exception of maybe Hawaii and Alaska. I've also done several international projects as well.
And how long have you owned the Evidence Room?
I started the Evidence Room 17 years ago.
And in this particular case, Mr. Roeder, what were you employed or retained to do?
I was retained to put together a reconstruction of the events related to the matter that we're here today for.
And do you recall approximately how long ago you were hired?
About a year.
Fair to say you've been working on this then consistently throughout the past year?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And what type of material in this particular case have you reviewed?
Well, I was given quite a large binder of information, maybe about 6 inches thick, which contained police reports, witness statements, autopsy photographs, autopsy reports, the police investigation file. I was also given access to the defendant and a number of other 911 audio, video surveillance from certain private establishments, as well as video surveillance from law enforcement.
Okay. And it's my understanding that you have created 3 different videos in this particular case.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Let's start with video number 1. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Video number 1 essentially is a walkthrough of how I built the environment. We have a methodology on how we put things together for the reconstruction, and the first step in the methodology certainly is to review all of the information that we've been given. Read all the files, watch all the videos, understand the dynamics of what happened. But the very first step after we complete the review is to build the environment. And video number one is very much about building the environment. Because if you don't have an accurate environment to do the reconstruction, everything kind of falls apart. So the first step is a very simple step, which is to make sure that we have an accurate foundation to move forward in the reconstruction. So video number one essentially is a combination of transitions between the case file materials that I was given and my CGI model, which is a computer graphic image of those photographs. And a transition between the photographs that I was given and the three-dimensional model so that you have a good sense of the accuracy of the foundation that we're working with here today. And so that's essentially in a broad stroke what video one is.
Perfect. At this point in time, we'd like to play video one, Your Honor.
All right, if it's ready. Actually, before you, can you pause it, please? Okay. Before anything is displayed, I feel it appropriate to give an instruction to the jurors. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, demonstrative evidence is evidence that aids the testimony of a particular witness. You are about to view a video animation of the defendant's account of what occurred. This video is demonstrative evidence. It is presented for the limited purpose of illustrating testimony of the defense and assisting you in understanding that testimony. It is not necessarily representative of the proper application of scientific principles, and any distances or locations or sequence of events represented in the videos are not admitted as independent evidence. The videos carry no independent probative value. They are presented to assist you in understanding further testimony. With that, you may proceed.
Let's watch this all the way through, Mr. Roeder, and then we'll have some comments after, okay?
I think that's the end of it.
Mr. Roeder, there were some measurements in the beginning of that video. Did you actually put those measurements in there?
Yes, I manually put that graphic of that measurement on the screen, yes.
Okay. And all the numbering, I assume that was your work as well, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And you created this video based on what you reviewed in the file?
that's correct.
Okay. Now, at this point in time, I want to talk about video 3 and 4, but they're not going to be played to the jury quite yet. So can you give me just a brief description of how you created video number 3?
Sure. You have to excuse me, I have a bit of a chest cold, so I don't mean to be clearing my throat into the microphone, but the water does help, I apologize. So video number 3 essentially is my review of Dr. Miller's autopsy report. I reviewed his autopsy report, and the autopsy report contained very specific descriptions of each of the 10 gunshot wounds. It also contained, or not contained in the report, but along with the report were autopsy photographs. So I reviewed the autopsy report and all of the individual specific measurements that were contained in there and the autopsy pictures, and used those to create what's called an analog rig. And the analog rig is basically like a computerized mannequin. And I sized that mannequin to the appropriate height of the victim in this case, and similar dimensions and so forth, so that we can follow along with the medical examiner as he describes the positioning of each of the 10 gunshot wounds. He uses language like, so many inches from the middle of the center line, or so many inches from the top of the head, and things like that. So we use those measurements to plot out, in a very basic way, the gunshot wounds on the victim. And that's the first portion of the video number 3. The second portion of video number 3 is a bit more of a deeper analytical view of the gunshot wounds put together in collaboration with Dr. Ken Harshberger and previously with another pathologist. The second portion of video number 3 is a step-by-step look at the both subjects in relationship to each other, and then factoring in all of the information that Dr. Miller had documented from his autopsy report.
Okay. Counsel approach. Ladies and gentlemen, it's tad earlier than I had anticipated, but we're going to go ahead and take our break for the afternoon because we have a legal issue that we need to deal with. So we will go ahead and do that at the time while you are refreshing yourselves. And I would ask that you report back to the jury assembly room at 10 after 3. And hopefully we will have, that's about 15 minutes from now, so we should be able to collect you in order to bring you back up to continue the afternoon. Same admonitions apply. Don't discuss the case, don't let anybody discuss it in your presence, and don't form or express any opinion on it. Thank you very much. We're in recess.